Welcome to another episode of Growing E-commerce. We are your hosts. I'm Mike Ryan.
My name is Chris. Let's go.
Let's go, Chris.
By the way, I told you that your voice is really, really special.
Why? Thank you.
I like it. No, I really like it.
Thanks, Chris. You've got.
Can you say it again? Like, tell me something with the most beautiful voice there is.
Put me on the spot here.
I really like it.
Fee, fi, fo, fum.
Let's go.
All right. That's what the Giant says in Jack and the Beanstalk. So,
All right. I by the way, great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, there's a movie. Yes.
I never saw the movie.
Yeah. There's a great movie.
I'm gonna have to check
You
it
have
out.
to watch it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Talking about giants.
Let's talk about one giant in particular.
Yes, man. What a segue.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Wasn't planned. Yeah, but go ahead.
We're gonna talk about Google a bit here.
Our favorite giant.
How unusual for this podcast. We're talking about Google. By the way, yeah, no, never mind. I'm not going to derail us already. I'll mention to you afterwards, Chris. So actually, we want to talk. A couple episodes ago, we were talking about some changes to reporting that's available in Google. Like PMax has search term data now. So that's like a new match type when you're looking at your search term data. And there's another new match type, which is AI Max.
Yes.
These are these two new, search term match types that exist in your reporting. And I've been having a look at that lately to try to see what I can make of it.
What did you find?
Well, thank you for asking, Chris. I thought you would never ask.
What did you find, Mike?
Well, first let me talk about PMax.
Yes.
That's basically, PMax is covering, it's a keywordless technology. You do not target keywords, and it's going to automatically match you to shopping ads and text ads on Google Search Network as well as Search Partner Network. Now, there's no network segmentation, so we can't know how much of that is on Google Search Network compared to Search Partner Network. That's a bit frustrating. But what I typically see so far is that it's not surprising. We see like a median of 90% of costs in PMax campaigns is feed-based, and an awful lot of that, of course, are shopping ads. So when you look at your search term report, there's a ton of shopping data in there implicitly. And it looks an awful lot like your search term report for
standard
shopping campaign. And by the way, standard shopping, it is and always has been a keywordless technology as well. So this is something that Google has been working on for years and years, is this keywordless matching of products and search terms. And I mean, basically it looks all fine, but there's one thing that I noticed, which is that, there's all kinds of, there are very generic search terms that get matched against. There's also more specific ones. And like as an example, I was looking at a large skincare and beauty brand in the US, and they show up against stuff like skincare, and they show up skincare one word, skincare as two words. This accounts for a lot of their impressions, and it doesn't account for a lot of their conversions.
No surprise, yeah.
But it creates clicks, but it's the intent is seemingly not there. We have to we're supposed to trust Google.
Yes.
They are very familiar with the user's intent. And they kind of handle this. Like for me, I tried searching skincare, one word, two words, and I don't get served any ads at all. And I don't know, it is such a generic, they're also even showing up for the word skin.
Skin, yeah, which is.
And I type the word skin and I get a Wikipedia article.
Yeah.
But someone else is getting served shopping ads.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really interesting.
And honestly, not that surprising. I would like to talk about some old approach we as a company successfully implemented back in the standard shopping days. But before we jump on that, for me, it's literally not a big surprise that the search terms are similar to standard shopping because, as we stated out in the State of PMax report, which was globally recognized as a hell of a hit piece, by the way, well done, mate.
Oh, thank you.
That yes, there is this 90% shopping share in PMax. So I think that this is quite normal and okayish that the search terms are very similar to standard shopping campaigns. What's also not very surprising is that, of course, Google is always giving this very generic broad search terms a shot.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's a hell of a cost driver. And you know what Google is very good at? They are looking at your campaign, you put your ROAS target on it, and they reach the ROAS on average. So Google doesn't give a fuck that skin or skincare drives some clicks as long as the average ROAS is met. The big question though is, could you force Google to be more efficient and more selective with this search term? And this is the segue I want to create now. We had a technology which was called search query sculpting back in the days.
Yeah.
Before we talk about that, and if this might also be some good approach to PMax now, Mike, elaborate our listeners to what search query sculpting is in principle, how we implemented it, and maybe then we can discuss, is it maybe also a good approach to PMax?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I remember that. And
you were driving this back in the days as product manager. I can remember.
Yeah, that's
a hell of a feature, by the way.
Thanks. I mean, it was built on ideas from our friend Martin Rüttgerding.
Shout out to Martin.
He's a German agency called Blue Fusion. And yeah, I mean, years back, he had this genius idea that you could basically combine negative keyword lists and campaign priorities in shopping to funnel the traffic. Because I said there's no positive keyword targeting in Google Shopping, but there is negative keyword that you can exclude. And what you could do in the end is create campaigns where through carefully building these negative keyword lists, you could create a campaign where these more generic search queries would land, and then more kind of mid-funnel ones, and then extremely specific ones, or you could funnel brand and non-brand, or different kinds of builds were possible. And yeah, we had developed technology at the time that automated that. It became obsolete, unfortunately, or for better or worse, when smart shopping came around, and then later on PMax, because there was no search term data in the first place, and there was no negative keywords.
That's the thing. But now it is available again. Yeah. That's why PMax is, from my perspective, the way superior product to smart shopping. And the question I have, thanks Mike for elaborating on it. For me, the question now is, because the idea was great and I think is still great, to tell Google that yes, there are these broad search terms where I, of course, want to be there, but only to a certain degree. And especially when you have limited budgets as an online retailer, of course, you want to focus this budget on rather commercially intended product-specific search term, because what a surprise, you have way higher conversion probability with. So this concept was a fucking great idea. We had some tech behind it. Not a question. What's your take on it regarding PMax? Because if the search term report is available, you can basically, I think, steer against it through the Google API. Can you do something here? What's your take on it in principle?
Yeah, I mean, in principle, the idea remains good, in my opinion. I mean, Google has basically asked us to not worry about that and say that they've got that covered. And that's why they didn't provide this data for a long time. It's why they didn't provide negative keywording. They said, we've got this. Our audience signals are so strong. We'll handle this for you.
That's why you have to show up when someone is looking for skin.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, and here's the problem, because it's very all or nothing. You can still add that as a negative keyword in PMax. Now that's possible again. And you can say, that's generic crap. I don't want to appear for that. But there's plenty of, like, you might actually be of two minds about this, or there might be somewhere it's not so black and white. It's like, well, yeah, I don't want to not appear for that traffic, but I want to have a different budget for that, or I want to bid it differently. I want to have a different return on ad spend expectation for that. there's still the strategic element.
Of course.
And that's what something like the old school query sculpting approach, even if you say Google's going to on a raw performance level, they're going to outperform an approach like that. There's still strategic and cost related reasons why you might want to implement a structure like that.
1000%. 1000%. And sorry, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, there's one thing we're missing. I mean, what do you want to ask?
No, I just want to say that to our listeners who are operating with Performance Max, or where Performance Max is a major channel. The cool thing is we're exploring this query sculpting now for PMax, and maybe one of the next episodes we can shed some light on it if this approach works. Like I said, in principle, I just love the idea to tell Google which search terms I want to really be aggressively shown, and where I'm rather opportunistic, especially when you have limited budget. With open budget, I think you can somewhat trust Google. Still, there might be some steering to be made, but especially when you are somewhat tight on budget, this query sculpting idea, I'm very, very fond of.
Yeah,
and we will have some data to talk about the next couple of episodes, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I just want to mention the single largest limitation here. Like, we've got the data, we have the negative keyword control, but the other core feature, or rather requirement or
prioritization,
it's the prioritization. And there's no campaign prioritization yet in PMax.
Google,
please, but
think about it.
Yeah, but then it gets complicated.
It gets complicated. Yeah. But we are here for the complicated stuff, right? Now let's have a look at it. But I think it's a great report, and let's talk about it the next couple of episodes. Sure. What can you do with this report?
Sure. And the next thing, before we move on from search term reporting, I want to talk about AI Max, that other new search term match type.
AI is everywhere, huh?
Yeah. It sure is. I mean, by the way, just a very short tangent. That technology, because I make it my business to know the history of everything that's going on behind the scenes here, and from what I can tell, that technology has been in various pilots and tests and beta for a couple of years, a while, and it was initially called Smart Match, and then they called it originally Search Max, and then most recently they called it AI Max, and now they're spinning up this story that AI Max is a technology that will help you appear on AI mode and AI overviews when these things get monetized through ads. And there's probably some truth to that statement, but that's not the origin of this technology. That's not the main purpose. And it doesn't only apply to those inventory types. It applies to all of Google search. And so I think, it's an example where you really want to have your eyes open and see through the product marketing or the branding that Google slaps on this. It's very convenient for them and opportunistic, and to a certain extent true, that this is supportive of these new AI inventory types. But calling it AI Max, that's not what it's about whatsoever.
But it sounds fancy.
It sounds fancy as hell.
And by the way, it's I think the strategy Google applies here, it's a very similar playbook, like with every new channel here. The big question for me is, and I would really like to get your take on it, because I'm, as a retailer, I would always strive for incrementality, right? Everything I implement, what incrementality does it provide?
Yeah.
And this is the big question with everything Google implements. What is just like a transformation from one channel to another? Where's the incrementality? And that's the question. AI Max, is there this concept of, okay, this drives incremental revenue for me, or is it just like linke Tasche, rechte Tasche, to switch to German for a second? You know what I mean? Like, what is it?
From the left pocket
to the right pocket.
Yeah.
Do you have a take on it?
Yeah, I do, and I've looked at. I mean, the thing is that I don't have huge volumes of data yet. I often really like to look at things in aggregate. But right now I can look at things anecdotally. There's value in that as well. The anecdotes might not be representative,
for sure,
but I can also say they're not cherry picked. Like I've looked at just a handful of accounts with this technology activated, and there were problems in all of them. So it feels somehow, maybe they all had bad luck. But just to explain what happens here, a couple things I've seen. I mean, for context, if you haven't heard about AI Max, Google was next. They were looking at migrating search campaigns to PMax, but they abandoned this strategy of bringing everything to PMax. And the other logical way of solving this was, well, what if we bring some of the PMax technology
to
search and achieve basically the same result, but it'll be more favorably received, and it has been. So basically, there's now, just your standard match types, your keyword targeting, and then you can optionally add on some keywordless layers to that, and also some automated, like the stuff similar to dynamic search ads. This is another part of it, but we're talking about the keywordless technology right now. And what I see consistently when it's been activated is these accounts on an impressions basis, and sometimes also on a conversion basis, they do take off. Like you can really see a pretty strong scaling effect as soon as AI Max is turned on. And Google's numbers here, I think their figure they like to throw around is a 14% conversion uplift, which is, it's a hell of a number. It's a hell of a promise to make, or an anchor to set in people's minds.
On average, sure.
But I would say maybe if you do not have mature built out search campaigns, this could be more beneficial. If you have a pretty built out mature search account structure right now, the odds are, to me, not that likely that this is going to deliver good incremental traffic. And what it will find, it might find something, but that might not be what you want. That's what I saw in a couple cases here. Looking at the search term report, I saw one case. There's a large multi-brand retailer in Germany, and their impressions went way up. Their conversions also went up. And then when you look at where that's coming from, they suddenly started bidding on competitor terms like crazy, all kinds of competitors. But one of them in particular, the algorithm went insane and just started really bidding hardcore against a competitor. And this is an example, like, that's not really, I mean, that could be good or bad, but this advertiser, it's not like they never had the idea before, hey, I can bid against a competitor.
Sure.
They chose not to. So
for good reasons.
Yeah, they were not positively targeting this. Some other match types served, they didn't negative the traffic either. They didn't exclude the traffic. So that's how this was still possible. But they weren't targeting it. The other match types were more or less leaving it alone. But then they turn on this and the thing goes insane. And I'm serious. It was, if I remember right, it was 69% of impressions in the whole campaign were now on this one competitor. And if you look at all the competitor terms in there, it was basically about, I don't know, 85, 90% of all the impressions. The thing went insane. That's not acceptable.
And one last question. Was it justified? So in terms of incremental revenue and return on ad spend?
Yeah. So these, like I said, it was bringing in conversions. The question is it smart to do that? Is that on strategy for you? It was. And another case I saw, just quick, and we'll wrap this up. This advertiser, they also had a big spike in impressions, not in conversions, not really in costs either. And that's because for whatever reason, the algorithm decided that it wanted to go crazy on Search Partner Network, and it went insane on Search Partner Network. We're talking just huge volumes. And the problem with Search Partner Network is that it's too big. There are some great, YouTube is a search partner, eBay is a search partner. There are lots of great search partners. And then there's everything else. We talked about this in the past. Then there's everything else. And in general, what I find is that there's very little intent in the Search Partner Network. So in a way, it's harmless, but it's also just not necessary. And it's not what you expect from a campaign that says it's going to, that campaign was already in pretty good shape, and it's just desperately looking and finds, wow, there's all this extra demand in Search Partner Network. Let's go for it.
Interesting. But like I said, pretty classic playbook of Google.
Yeah.
I think that the core idea is a good one, but like with every other campaign, especially now PMax, AI Max, you have to really steer and manage the algorithm.
Like
it's more important than ever. That's for sure.
If you have an immature, let's say, or less mature search build, then this could probably find some good stuff for you, and then you might get good ideas of what you want to target. If you have a mature one, you might find that it's looking in odd places, and then you need to put guardrails in place. Like then you're gonna have to start excluding those competitor keys. You might have to opt out of search partner network. But then the question is, what will be left? Will it still find
what's
anything?
then the increment?
Yeah, and so it's a very new technology. They've been testing it for years, but it's also, I have to say, I don't know in aggregate what's going on yet. I'm just looking at anecdotes, and it's very new. So maybe in a year from now, I'll have a revised opinion.
Yes.
But
that's what I wanted to say. We keep an eye on that for sure. We talk about that topic also at the DMAXCO, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, the more data flows in, the more educated or the more information we can share with you guys. But quite interesting. One thing is for sure, AI Max is here to stay. That's what we can say. So for better or worse, that's the thing. What's next, mate?
Let's talk about conversion lag and conversion latency.
Interesting topic.
Sounds nerdy, right?
Sounds nerdy, but has a very, very real impact on metrics which are relevant, not just for the operational online marketing manager, but also for decision makers.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell me what it is about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is something that operational teams will be more or less familiar with, and then it's a question of, I think at that decision maker level as well, it's worth understanding these. I mean, conversion lag, also known as delayed conversions, I think there's a decent level of awareness about this, but let's recap it. This is just naturally occurring consumer behavior, because Google measures by default, it measures things from the interaction date, usually the click date. And then someone interacts with your ad and some time might pass till they actually complete a purchase. And that's this attribution thing. And that's all fine. It can take, depending on how long your cookie window set or whatever, can take a while. And then what you particularly see, this will typically correlate with average order value, so that more expensive items often have a longer consideration phase. It's kind of self-explanatory. Also, it can have a seasonal characteristic. For example, what I've seen time and again is that in the days / weeks leading up to Black Friday, we see that lag increases because people are clicking on ads, but they're waiting for sales to begin. They're comparing options. And then in the peak holiday season, people are under a lot more time pressure, so they're clicking an ad and buying same day and stuff like that. So you see these very consumer and demand-driven effects on this. Where it's important is that there'll be a discrepancy between this and your backend data.
Yes.
Because your backend data is just going to report purchases.
The purchase date.
Yeah, when they happen. And Google is reporting it, it's attributing it all back to the date of the click.
Yes.
So it's a very googly view on the topic. And there is a solution for that.
What is it?
It's a metric or a set of metrics. They're conversions by conversion time. And this basically means that data is going to be reported by the purchase date instead of the click or interaction date. And so that's automatically going to line up with your backend data better. It's also going to help you make, if you want to look at last week or even today or yesterday, if you want to compare that to last year or whatever period, that's hard to do because normally that data is not finished attributing yet. And you're comparing it against data that is fully attributed. So it's not a fair comparison. So using this helps you get better like for like comparisons on recent time periods. So there's advantages of using it.
Yep, for sure. By the way, this leads me to, so very interesting. This leads me to another topic we can't discuss today because we are pretty much into the time box. Maybe next time. Because you were talking about the back end, right? In general. So yes, you have basically revenue reported based on the purchase date, which is fine. You have the discrepancy based on this latency effect with Google. But in general, what I find more and more happening to big retailers, to small retailers, is that in general, they are looking at backend data, which mostly is not representing the Google data.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that a lot of retailers take decisions on the backend data and try to optimize the Google campaigns based on the backend data, which I don't know. I mean, there might be correlation, there might not be. Maybe we should discuss this topic next time. What a big thing this is, and why these data have to be harmonized, and which ways maybe they are available to harmonize the data. It's crazy. Feeds into that partially, but it could be a topic on its own. I will take a note here. We can talk about this next time.
Yeah, I like that. Let's do it.
All right. Cool.
Do we have time for TEMU, or are we at time?
You are the Mr. China, right? You are called the Mr. T because every big media outlet wanted to talk with you about TEMU. TEMU itself wanted to talk with you, right?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Yes? Did they?
Did we never have a follow-up about that, Chris?
No. Why? We should. Also, put it in the backlog.
Let's put it in the backlog, Chris.
How was the meeting with TEMU? Were they friendly?
They were cordial.
Okay, let's go. Yes, but for TEMU we have time. We should. 3 minutes?
Real quick. I just want to mention that TEMU is required to share lots of data with the EU because of regulation. And one of those things, they have to share their monthly active users. So there's fresh monthly active user data from TEMU for the last 6-month period. And we can compare that to the last time they reported this.
Let me guess, they are growing.
They're growing, Chris. They're growing. What would you consider a good growth rate?
You know, like for normal retailer or for TEMU?
Let's hear both.
No, like I mean, the reality is, and when we jump into the data now, we see some rather interesting discrepancies between certain markets.
Yeah,
quite interesting. But in general, I mean, the reality is, a retailer in today's economical environment, I think, double-digit growth. If you hit that, you should celebrate the hell out of it.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, for TEMU, I think different standards apply.
Sure. Let me get into
it. Let's start with the worst market.
The worst market.
The worst market.
Their worst market. Actually, their worst market is Denmark.
Okay.
At about like -6% of
-6%.
Yeah.
And Netherlands also, right?
Netherlands was the only other market that had negative growth, and that was
shout out to bol.com, right? They have this market in. I love bol.
You have to assume. I also know some like these Eastern European markets with like EMAG.
EMAG, yes.
I think when you have a market that has a dominant homegrown marketplace, that's going to be a tough market for TEMU.
Yes. Shout out to EMAG. Great client. I love what they do.
Yeah, exactly.
A hell of a player. Awesome. Okay, so there are some markets they shrink.
Yeah, shrink or flat or slower growth. Okay. But overall, TEMU in Europe grew 23%.
Which is solid.
0.5.
Which is solid.
That's solid. And you know what that means? Because that's definitely faster than the market at large. So that means that unfortunately, they're concentrating market share still.
Yes, what a surprise. They eat our lunch.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
In Germany, that's their number one. They were a bit slower at 18%, but I'm
still crazy.
But Germany is particularly flat right now, so I'm sure they're outperforming the market anyway.
Yeah.
And
which one? If I were the TEMU CEO, God forbid, Germany would be somehow a little bit surprising because Germany is the biggest market, and that's out of the biggest markets, that's the market which is growing the slowest, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For the rest of the top 5, they're at about a third. So I mean, that's
30%.
That's a lot. And
reason for the rather disappointing numbers in Germany. I mean, disappointing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that TEMU has a particularly poor reputation among consumers and in the media in Germany. I could be wrong, but that's the feeling that I have.
That's it.
And it can also be that there is this slower overall growth in Germany, perhaps. So related to these.
But you know how it is. I mean, look at your network. How many guys are bashing TEMU 7 days a week and twice on Sunday?
Yeah,
and they still buy on it. Yeah, but I'm with you. I think Germany, the German consumer is probably the most critical about these Chinese kind of mega cap companies who are going into European markets. Let's see. But so bottom line is they're growing.
Yeah.
They're growing rapidly.
Yep. Unfortunately.
And faster than the market. That means the European retailers have to buckle up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, on that very cheerful note,
that
was another episode of Growing E-commerce.
I enjoyed so much, Mike. Looking forward to the next one.
Likewise.
Handshake? Thank you very much. The voice is happening again.
Should I drop it down low?
Yes, please. Wait, now it gets cheesy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Growing E-commerce and for tolerating us. We enjoyed it. This podcast is brought to you by Smarter E-commerce, also known as SMEC. As always, you can learn more at smarter-ecommerce.com. And we really appreciate it if you support us through ratings, reviews, or word of mouth. That's going to do it.
That's going to do it.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.